The light in the Galactic Council's chamber shimmered like a storm of stars. Beams from 1,000 suns passed through glass domes that stretched beyond sight. Rows of alien delegates filled tiered seats carved from obsidian and crystal, each representing a world, a species, a power older than human civilization itself. The air itself seemed alive with the hum of translators and the whispers of beings that spoke in clicks, growls, and tones that made the walls vibrate. At the center of the hall stood a single platform, isolated and cold. On it, surrounded by countless eyes from across the galaxy, stood one man, tall, calm, unshaken. His name was Captain Elias Ward, the first human to stand before the Galactic Council. "Representative of Earth," boomed the high speaker, a towering being of molten silver light. "You have been summoned under Article 12 of Galactic Law for violation of restricted zones, the unauthorized weaponization of interstellar drives, and interference with colonial systems belonging to Council space. Do you understand these charges?" Elias nodded once, slow and deliberate. His voice, when he spoke, carried through the chamber like a quiet storm. "I understand them. I also understand the meaning behind them," the delegates hissed and murmured. A scaled ambassador from the Cathari hissed, "The primitive speaks as if he knows our laws." Elias turned his head slightly, the faintest hint of a smile on his face. "We studied your laws before you ever noticed us. You should be proud. They're well written." The chamber erupted in noise. Hundreds of voices overlapping in anger, disbelief, and offense. Some slammed their claws on the metal tables. Others vibrated their gills or shimmered in protest, but Elias didn't flinch. Behind the council's main seat, massive screens showed recordings, images of human ships entering restricted space, human colonies expanding into resource zones, and massive orbital structures surrounding alien trade routes. The evidence was undeniable. "You have no right," said the High Speaker. "No species outside the Council is permitted to act without authorization. Earth has violated the fundamental order of this galaxy." Elias looked up at the thousands of representatives watching him. "Order?" he said quietly. "You mean control. You've ruled for so long you've forgotten what order really means." Gasps filled the air. No one spoke to the Council like that. A thin, blue-skinned delegate from the Rellan cluster leaned forward. "Your species has only known the stars for 1 century. You are infants in a world of giants. You will surrender your fleets and colonies immediately." Elias lifted his eyes to the enormous window behind the council seats, where the swirling heart of the galaxy burned in silence. "You think we only learned to travel among the stars 100 years ago? You're wrong. We learned long before that, just not how you expected." A murmur of confusion rippled through the chamber. The High Speaker's voice grew colder. "You speak in riddles, human. Are you confessing?" "No," Elias said. "I'm reminding you that Earth never waited for permission." The chamber fell silent. Even the hum of the translation field paused, as though the technology itself held its breath. Elias reached into his coat and pulled out a small device, a simple gray sphere with faint blue lines pulsing across its surface. A few guards moved forward, but the High Speaker raised a hand. "What is that?" Elias pressed his thumb on the sphere. The air shimmered, and suddenly every holographic display in the council chamber flickered. The grand star maps, the trade charts, the data feeds, all replaced by a single symbol. A blue circle surrounding a white spiral. The emblem of Earth. Every being in the chamber stared in disbelief. The emblem glowed across every council world's communication channels. The council guards drew their weapons, but Elias didn't move. "This is a broadcast," he said, his voice echoing. "Every system connected to your network is now receiving a message from humanity." He gestured to the glowing emblem. "Your archives say Earth was first observed 300 years ago, a minor world unfit for council contact. You marked us as non-threat. You kept watching, waiting for us to beg for inclusion." His tone grew harder. "But while you watched, we listened. We listened to your transmissions, your wars, your decrees. And we learned. We learned how your power works, how your fleets move, how your laws hide your fear." Delegates began shouting, demanding the transmission be cut. Technicians scrambled across the upper decks, but every console failed. The humans' broadcast had locked them all out. Elias continued, calm and steady. "We saw what happened to the others, the worlds that asked to join you and were never heard from again. The species that refused and vanished in the night. You call it order. We call it domination." A heavy pause filled the chamber. The high speaker's light dimmed. What are you saying, human? Elias met the speaker's gaze. I'm saying Earth didn't come here to ask for mercy. We came to deliver a message. The lights in the chamber dimmed further. Then one by one, holographic feeds appeared around the room. Images of distant stars, planets, moons. Each one marked by that same blue and white emblem. Hundreds of them. Delegates gasped in horror. Those are restricted systems. One shouted. Elias spoke softly, almost kindly. They were. Not anymore. The high speaker's voice trembled. You occupied them? Not occupied, Elias said. Freed. The chamber exploded with noise, panic, anger, disbelief. The high speaker rose, his body blazing like a sun. You dare wage war against the council? Elias looked up at him, eyes steady, voice cold. You left us no choice. You feared what humanity might become. So you planned to erase us before we reached the stars. We intercepted your directives decades ago. Every human government knew what you intended. He paused, letting the silence stretch. So we prepared? The speaker's light flared so bright that even the reinforced walls trembled. You cannot stand against 1,000 worlds. Elias took one step forward. The faint hum of his translator echoed. You think we're standing against you? You're wrong. We've already moved past you. He turned slightly as if listening to something far away. Then he looked back at the council. At this moment, your fleets are losing contact with every relay station within human space. Your ships will find their drives unresponsive. Your supply lines will vanish. You thought you were calling us to judgment, but you've been standing in ours. The high speaker's form flickered, his body of light shaking. You cannot. A sudden vibration filled the chamber. The screens behind the council changed again, showing a sight that froze even the oldest beings in the hall. The council's nearest defense station, orbiting the central star, had gone dark. Then without explosion or warning, it simply vanished. Gasps filled the air. Some delegates tried to flee. Others collapsed in shock. Elias spoke quietly, almost with sorrow. We didn't destroy it. We folded it away. Your technology hides the edges of physics. Ours walks through them. The high speaker leaned forward, his voice trembling. You would destroy everything? You would bring chaos to this galaxy? Elias shook his head. No, we would end the illusion of peace you built on fear. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then a soft voice came from the side of the chamber, a small crystalline being from the Valari Dominion. What do you want, human? Elias turned to her. Recognition, freedom, and truth. You don't have to bow to the council anymore. None of you do. The age of silence ends today. The council guards moved forward again, weapons ready. Elias didn't resist. He simply placed the gray sphere on the floor. You can imprison me if you wish, he said. But it won't matter. You can't stop what's already begun. The high speaker's voice thundered. What has begun? Elias looked up at the thousands of alien faces, their fear and confusion reflected in the shimmering glass dome above. He spoke slowly, every word like a blade cutting through centuries of arrogance. The war you feared, he said. The one you thought you could prevent by hiding us. Humanity declared it a long time ago. The lights dimmed, the screens went black, and the chamber fell into absolute silence. Only the faint echo of his final words remained, carried across the stars. You watched us rise, but you never saw us coming. And somewhere far beyond the council's reach, the first human fleets were already moving. The council chamber was empty now, but the echoes of Captain Elias Ward's words lingered like a storm that refused to pass. Beyond the domed glass ceiling, stars shimmered coldly, indifferent to the chaos that had just unfolded. Yet across the galaxy, alarms were ringing in systems that had long been under the council's strict watch. Signals were failing. Defense satellites were disappearing. Supply routes vanished into the void. Humanity had moved first, and the council had not yet realized the full scale of the operation. On the frozen moon of Terral 4, a fleet of council investigators was making its way toward what was thought to be an abandoned human mining colony. The ships glided through ice storms and cragged mountains, unaware that the humans had been there decades earlier. Hidden beneath layers of ice and rock, massive structures hummed with life. Quantum reactors pulsed silently, casting a blue glow through cracks in the frozen surface. Lieutenant Rilo, a high-ranking Kothari officer, leaned over the bridge of his scout ship. His multiple eyes scanned the readings in disbelief. This is impossible, he muttered. The colony should be empty. There are no transmissions, no life signs, yet energy readings are off the charts. What are they hiding? The lead pilot, a slender, transparent-skinned Valari named Selly, adjusted the scanners. The signatures match Earth-class technology, but these levels, they shouldn't exist in a remote moon. Not without the Council knowing. Relo's claw tapped impatiently on the console. Alert the Central Command. We may be looking at a human fleet base. Before the message could even leave the ship, the moon itself vanished from the orbital feed. 1 second it was there. The next nothing. The sensors showed empty space. Relo's legs stiffened in shock. Impossible, he hissed. The moon. It's gone. On Earth, Elias Ward was already watching the results through live feeds. The humans had folded the moon into a separate dimension, a hidden fortress beyond the reach of the Council. Humanity had not attacked yet, but every movement was carefully calculated to demonstrate capability without immediate destruction. In the Galactic Council chamber, the remaining delegates were trying to regain composure. The High Speaker's molten light flickered, and his voice carried a mixture of fear and fury. They are stronger than we imagined. How is this possible? How did one species bypass centuries of oversight? Lyra, a crystalline diplomat from the Valari Dominion, stepped forward. Her faceted body caught the light and shimmered. Speaker, I warned you. The humans are not what we expected. Their intelligence is unlike anything in the Council's records. They anticipated our every move before we even acted. The High Speaker's voice roared. They are children. They cannot comprehend the consequences of their actions. They comprehend more than you admit, Lyra said, and they are patient. That is their greatest strength. Meanwhile, in orbit around the Council's central system, human ships moved in silence. Hidden by stealth fields and cloaking technologies the Council had believed impossible. Entire fleets of reconnaissance drones swept across the outer systems, mapping every trade route, every supply depot, every hidden weapon platform. The humans had turned intelligence gathering into an art form. Back on Terrell 4, Lieutenant Relo's team attempted to re-establish contact with the moon. Every transmission failed. His mouth opened in disbelief as a holographic map displayed hundreds of human fleets deploying along previously unknown hyperlanes. These lanes had been secret for decades. Human engineers had mapped them long before the Council even considered patrols in the sector. They knew we would come, Relo whispered, his voice trembling. They planned this long ago. They prepared. On Earth, the human high command monitored the galaxy's reaction like a quiet storm. Admiral Harlan Ray, one of the strategists responsible for the operation, leaned over a console studying Council data feeds. They're panicking exactly as we predicted. We never intended a frontal assault. This is about positioning, control, and demonstrating capability. Captain Ward joined him, his face calm, unreadable. Make sure every relay station is active. Every fleet must report in. Timing is everything. The Council still believes they are the ones in control. In the Council chamber, delegates argued fiercely. The Rellan ambassador shouted at the High Speaker. We must retaliate. Deploy the fleets! Destroy them before they expand further. The High Speaker's form dimmed, his light flickering like a stormy sun. If we act recklessly, we risk annihilation. The humans have anticipated our every strategy. They have infiltrated our networks, our supply lines, our intelligence grids. Any attack we make will fail. The moment we strike, they will respond with a precision we cannot match. Lyra studied the chamber, her crystalline body tense. She whispered under her breath. They are not reckless and they are not naive. Every move is deliberate. They do not fight like other species. They fight with their minds, their networks, and their understanding of fear. While the Council debated, another human team activated the first phase of an operation deep within Council territory. Using previously unknown technology, humans had silently disabled the communication hubs of multiple systems. Entire fleets that had been mobilizing against Earth were now disoriented, unable to coordinate. An alien commander on the front lines screamed over open channels. Our ships are losing power. Our weapons are offline. How is this happening? A human voice, calm and collected, echoed through the disrupted comms. You are witnessing what happens when you underestimate a species you do not understand. The commander's sensors went dark. Every officer aboard their flagship stared in horror as systems failed one by one. The ships drifted helplessly as the human fleet, unseen, controlled the battlefield without firing a single shot. Back in the Council chamber, Lyra turned to the High Speaker. We underestimated them. They are not merely a threat. They are a force beyond prediction. They have already declared the rules of engagement. We are late to this war. The High Speaker's voice trembled. Late? How late? Lyra's faceted eyes reflected the chamber's lights. Too late. They have already moved through every sector we thought secure. Their fleets are positioned. Their infrastructure is hidden. They do not need to fight yet, and they will not. But when they act, the galaxy will feel it. In orbit over a small distant planet, human engineers activated another system. Drones folded into hyperspace and emerged on the far side of a council stronghold. They delivered a single message that appeared across every council terminal. You cannot stop what you cannot see. Panic spread like wildfire. Council delegations began recalling fleets, issuing emergency orders, trying desperately to reassert control. But the humans had anticipated every contingency, mapping responses decades before. Captain Ward observed the data feeds silently. Phase 1 complete, he said. The Council knows we are capable. Phase 2 begins once we confirm their networks are fully compromised. We are not here to destroy. We are here to expose the truth. Admiral Ray nodded. Truth will be more effective than any weapon. Fear will teach them faster than any fleet. In the council chamber, Lyra documented every detail. She realized that the humans were not acting out of aggression. They were executing a strategy decades in the making, one designed to force the galaxy to recognize their position without needless destruction. She also realized the council had lost its ability to control the narrative. Humanity had already won the first battle without a single blow struck. The High Speaker's light dimmed to a muted glow. If what you say is true, he said, his voice barely audible, then we have underestimated them, catastrophically. And far beyond the chamber, the humans moved silently through the galaxy, invisible and unstoppable. Systems long thought secure disappeared from council grids. Hidden fleets slipped into hyperlanes no one knew existed. The council's oldest secrets were now in human hands. Lyra watched the chaos, her body quivering with both fear and awe. She whispered, "They are not just a species. They are an intelligence the galaxy has never seen, and they are patient. Their patience will decide the outcome of what we all feared was a war, before the first shot is fired." Captain Ward stood in the control room, looking at the holographic display of council space. He allowed himself a rare smile. They thought they summoned us to answer for our crimes. They were wrong. We were never summoned. We were already here. And somewhere in the distance, across hundreds of systems, the first human fleets began their silent, unstoppable march. Unseen, unfought, and undeniable. The galaxy had not yet realized the scale of the storm coming. Humanity was already prepared, and it was only the beginning. The Galactic Council chamber was once again alive with tension, though the hall itself had not changed. The vast domed ceiling still reflected starlight from 1,000 distant systems. The delegates, hundreds of species representing countless worlds, sat uneasy in their assigned seats, their forms flickering with anxiety. The High Speaker's molten light wavered, struggling to maintain authority. They all knew something had changed, yet no one could say exactly what had happened. Captain Elias Ward appeared on the council holoscreen, standing at attention on Earth. His presence was calm but imposing, and his voice carried across the chamber without hesitation. "You have called us to answer for humanity. I am here to show that your assumptions were wrong. We do not react as you expect. We act before reaction is possible." The delegates exchanged whispers, incomprehensible to most except those with advanced translators. The Cathari ambassador slammed a claw on the table. "They speak as if they control the galaxy already. That is impossible. One species cannot outmaneuver the council." Elias's face remained steady. "Impossible is a matter of perspective. We have studied your history, your fleets, your treaties. We know how you operate, and we have acted accordingly." Suddenly, the chamber's lights flickered, and the vast screens behind the council delegates shifted. Every monitor showed council ships frozen mid-jump, their engines failing across the galaxy. The Valari fleet that had been moving toward the outer human colonies appeared stalled, powerless in open space. Reports poured in that council communication hubs were failing. Systems were being cut off one after another. The High Speaker's molten form flared in rage. "Explain this. How are they doing this?" Lyra, the crystalline diplomat, rose slowly from her seat. "They are not attacking in the conventional sense. They are controlling the flow of information, the power grids, the fleets themselves. They have access to systems we believed secure. They are moving unseen, a Rellan ambassador hissed. This is sorcery, technology beyond comprehension. They cannot hold such control. They can, Lyra replied quietly. They have been preparing for decades. Their fleets, their intelligence networks, their strategic plans, they are all synchronized. Every move we attempt is anticipated. We are the ones outmaneuvered. Meanwhile, far from the council chamber in the outer reaches of a neutral system, human reconnaissance fleets silently entered hyperspace. Hundreds of drones folded into hidden lanes, emerging on the far side of council defense stations. Every station that had been considered secure was now under observation. Every weapon system catalogued and mapped. Humans had not fired a shot, yet the council felt a growing fear that spread like wildfire. On one of the outer stations, a fleet commander, Nivor of the Cathari, tapped his claws nervously on the console. Our shields are failing. Our engines respond too slowly. What is happening? A voice came through scrambled communications, calm and deliberate, carrying across the void. You are witnessing the consequences of underestimating humanity. Stand down, or you will find yourselves immobilized without a single human vessel engaging you directly. Panic erupted among the crews. Ships attempted to fire, but weapon systems failed. Commands did not execute. Navigation controls flickered. Nivor's ship drifted helplessly as the reality of their situation sank in. The humans had not attacked. They had seized control of the battle before it could even begin. Back in the council chamber, murmurs escalated into heated arguments. The high speaker slammed a fist into the air, molten light scattering across the room. We cannot allow them to continue. Deploy all fleets. Send reinforcements. Lyra stepped closer to the speaker. Her crystalline voice was calm, even as her form shimmered with reflected light. Every fleet you deploy is already compromised. Every system you attempt to mobilize has been mapped and predicted. They do not fight like any species we have encountered. They fight with patience, precision, and knowledge. The high speaker's light dimmed to a dull glow. Then what is their objective? They are forcing the galaxy to recognize them, Lyra said. Not through destruction, but through inevitability. They are showing that the Council's power is no longer absolute, that we are late to this war, and the war has already been decided in their favor. Elsewhere in Earth's orbital command hub, Admiral Harlan Ray studied the data feeds from across the galaxy. The Council still believes they can control the response, he said. They still think fleets can be redeployed, systems secured. They are counting on fear and reaction to slow us down. Captain Ward's eyes scanned the holographic display of Council territory. They will soon realize that information control and timing are more powerful than brute force. We do not need to destroy them. We only need to show that we are already prepared, and they are too late to stop it. The Council delegates, realizing the scale of what was happening, attempted desperate measures. Systems long thought secure were isolated, fleets recalled, emergency protocols activated, but every step was anticipated. Humans had not only infiltrated communications but had replicated key Council algorithms in secret, allowing them to neutralize responses before they were enacted. The Rellan ambassador looked to the high speaker. They are not attacking. They are demonstrating that they could destroy us, but they choose not to. This is a level of intelligence and patience that no one predicted. Yes, the high speaker admitted reluctantly, and we are powerless to counter it. On a distant observation platform, Lyra witnessed the first human strategic strikes, not destructive, but perfectly targeted. Supply stations disabled, resource depots relocated, fleets immobilized temporarily, all without a single casualty. They are teaching us, Lyra whispered. They are showing that strength does not lie in firepower alone, but in planning, anticipation, and the ability to remain unseen until the perfect moment. Meanwhile, in the Council's outer defensive perimeter, Nivor's immobilized fleet drifted helplessly. Messages from other stranded fleets confirmed the same. All systems failing, no weapons firing, navigation impossible. Confusion turned to fear. No one knew where the humans were, only that every move they made was already countered before it could happen. Captain Ward observed the data silently. Phase 2 begins when the Council realizes their fleets are no longer under their command. They will attempt direct attacks. That is when we show them our position is already secure. Admiral Ray nodded. We will need to monitor their reaction carefully. The Council may attempt a final desperate measure if they understand the scale of our reach. Back in the chamber, the High Speaker attempted to project his authority, though his molten light flickered nervously. We cannot let them dictate terms to the Council. We must act, Lyra shook her head. Action has already been dictated, Speaker. Their strategy has been in motion for decades. They have predicted every Council maneuver, mapped every hidden route, and anticipated every fleet deployment. This is not a warning. This is proof of inevitability. The High Speaker fell silent. His light dimmed as he realized the truth of her words. The Council's decades of control, intelligence, and authority were no longer sufficient. Humanity had already established dominance through foresight, calculation, and patience. Far from the chamber, human fleets continued their silent, unstoppable deployment. Hidden bases folded away, hyperlanes traversed unseen, and drone fleets mapped and secured sectors thought untouchable. Humanity did not attack. They simply showed that the galaxy could no longer function without recognizing their strategic superiority. Lyra recorded every detail in her logs, her crystalline form trembling with both awe and fear. She knew the history books would call this moment the turning point, the day when humans were no longer a peripheral species. The day the galaxy realized that it had underestimated Earth. Captain Ward finally turned away from the holographic maps. They will understand soon enough, he said. They will realize that the war they imagined never started when they wanted. It started long ago and we were already ready for it. Admiral Ray smiled faintly. And they will remember it for every generation to come. In the council chamber, silence settled over the delegates. Fear and confusion replaced arrogance. Humanity's plan had unfolded flawlessly, not through firepower, not through sheer numbers, but through intelligence, patience, and an unshakable understanding of their opponents. The galaxy had already lost control and no one realized it yet. Somewhere deep in the shadow of council territory, human drones folded back into hidden hyperspace lanes. Systems that had been thought untouchable were now vulnerable, observed, cataloged. Humanity had proven its superiority without firing a shot. The first strike would come when the Council least expected it, and the galaxy would never be the same. And in the quiet of Earth's command hub, Captain Ward spoke softly, almost to himself. The war is ours to begin when we choose. They are too late, always too late. The Galactic Council chamber was silent, the weight of unease pressing on every delegate. Hundreds of alien species, some older than humanity could imagine, sat tense, their forms reflecting their anxiety and confusion. The High Speaker's molten light wavered, a trembling sun in the center of the hall. Outside, the stars continued their silent dance, indifferent to the chaos humanity had set in motion. Captain Elias Ward appeared once more on the council holoscreen. He was calm, composed, the epitome of human patience, and his voice carried across the chamber with authority. You called us here for judgment, he said. But judgment is no longer yours to give. The truth has already spoken. You have been late to this war. Humanity has already acted. The council erupted in noise, but Ward's presence silenced them again. Every alien delegate understood that this was no ordinary address. Humans had infiltrated the council's most secure systems. Hidden fleets patrolled hyperspace lanes unknown to the council, and communication networks had been quietly subverted. Yet none of the council's representatives had expected the scope of the operation. A crystalline diplomat, Lyra of the Valari Dominion, leaned forward. Her body shimmered with reflected starlight. Speaker, humanity's reach extends far beyond what we anticipated. Every fleet you tried to deploy, every system you relied on has been compromised. They do not need to fight conventionally. Their strategy is already in motion. The High Speaker's voice rumbled, a sound like molten rock cooling. Impossible. One species cannot anticipate centuries of coordination across thousands of worlds. They cannot know our secrets, our archives, our defenses. They know them all, Lyra replied quietly. They have anticipated every move we would make to contain them. And now they hold the truth of our history. The chamber's delegates murmured in confusion. What truth? Asked a Rellan ambassador, his voice trembling. Lyra's faceted eyes reflected the room's dim light. The council has kept secrets for millennia. Records of species removed, civilizations erased, and entire worlds silenced. Humanity intercepted these archives decades ago. They know the plans for our next victims and us. Suddenly, the large holo displays behind the council shifted. Images appeared. Ancient council archives showing classified operations. Worlds destroyed, species eliminated. Evidence of covert interventions. Every delegate could see it. Every species realized that the council's authority had been maintained through fear and manipulation, not fairness. Gasps filled the chamber. Delegates whispered, their voices trembling. The High Speaker's molten form flared in anger and fear. "This is a violation of protocol. These are secure records. You cannot show this." Elias Ward's calm voice echoed through the chamber. "We do not need permission to show the truth. You have ruled through fear. Now the galaxy sees what you are, and it understands that your control ends today." The chamber erupted. Delegates argued, some slamming claws or tentacles on tables, others vibrating in shock. The High Speaker struggled to regain control, but his voice faltered. "You cannot stand against the Council. You are still children in this galaxy." "We are not children," Ward said. "We are the species you thought could be erased. And we survived, prepared and ready. We did not come to destroy. We came to reveal what you tried to hide." From Earth, human fleets were moving silently through the sectors surrounding the Council's central systems. Drones folded into hyperspace lanes unknown to any other species, appearing near Council supply stations and fleet depots. Every asset of the Council that had been considered secure was now exposed. Lieutenant Mara Kellen, overseeing one of the operations, adjusted her console. "The stations are offline. Communications are down. Our drones are undetectable." Her superior, Admiral Ray, nodded. "Good. Humanity must show that control does not rely on brute force alone. We are demonstrating intelligence, patience, and inevitability." In the chamber, Lyra watched the reactions carefully. Delegates were confused, angry, and afraid, realizing that humans had already claimed the strategic upper hand. She spoke softly. "They are not attacking. They are teaching. They are revealing that the Council's strength is a fragile illusion, built on fear and secrecy. Humanity has shown that they cannot be controlled or underestimated." The High Speaker's molten light flickered with fury. "If this continues, the galaxy will see the Council as weak. We will lose authority." "This cannot be allowed." "Authority built on fear is not power," Lyra said. "It is a trap waiting for someone intelligent enough to escape it. Humanity has escaped it, and now the galaxy knows the truth." Far from the Council, in a remote sector, human engineers activated a series of hidden facilities. Each one folded space around itself, disappearing from all sensors and creating safe harbors for fleets and supply chains beyond the Council's reach. The scale of preparation was staggering. The humans were everywhere, yet nowhere could detect them directly. Back in the Council chamber, the High Speaker's voice trembled as he addressed the delegates. "We must retaliate immediately. Deploy the fleets. Strike at Earth." Lyra shook her head. "Any strike will fail. Their fleets are positioned along hidden lanes. Every base, every communication hub you rely on is compromised. They do not need to fight you directly to win. They have already won the first battle by showing you the truth." Delegates began to argue, some calling for immediate action, others urging caution. The fear in the room was palpable. Every species began to realize that they had underestimated humanity, and the consequences were unimaginable. In Earth's command hub, Ward and Ray watched the Council's reaction through live feeds. "Phase 3 is approaching," Ward said. "They are beginning to understand that they cannot act without our consent. We must maintain restraint but show readiness to respond." Ray nodded. "We cannot let them panic completely. The message must be clear. We are capable, patient, and inevitable." Back in the Council chamber, Lyra projected an analysis to the delegates. "The humans have not attacked a single system directly, yet they have demonstrated control over fleets' infrastructure and critical assets. They are teaching the galaxy a new standard. Intelligence and preparation can replace brute force." The High Speaker's molten light dimmed almost completely. "They are not just a species. They are an intelligence we cannot predict, a force that has thought centuries ahead of us." "What do we do now?" Lyra hesitated. "We survive, we adapt. But humanity has already shown that the galaxy has changed. Their patience is our greatest danger. They will not act recklessly, but when they do act, it will be decisive." Meanwhile, human drones folded and emerged in the outer systems, observing fleets that were attempting to reorganize. Council officers tried to give orders, but every command failed before it could be enacted. Ships drifted helplessly. Systems went offline. The galaxy's most powerful governing body could not regain control. Ward stood silently, watching the data. They will attempt to strike at some point, he said. But it will not matter. The war they imagined we were fighting has already been won in strategy. We will act only when necessary, and it will be unstoppable. Lyra documented every observation. Her voice trembled as she recorded the truth. The humans are not aggressive, not yet. But they are prepared for everything. They have exposed the Council's lies, its weakness, and its hidden manipulations. Humanity's intelligence has become the galaxy's reckoning. The High Speaker tried to respond, but his voice faltered. We cannot allow this. We cannot. Ward's calm voice cut through the chamber again. You cannot stop what you cannot see. You cannot anticipate what you cannot understand. The galaxy thought it could control us. It was wrong. We were already prepared. And now you all know it. The chamber was silent. Delegates were no longer shouting. Confusion and fear had replaced arrogance. Lyra's crystalline body shimmered, reflecting the gravity of the moment. Humanity had not yet fired a shot, but they had changed the balance of power entirely. Outside the chamber, human fleets continued their silent deployment. Hidden bases, invisible supply chains, and drones mapping every sector ensured that the Council could no longer operate in secrecy. Humanity had not attacked. They had demonstrated inevitability. Ward spoke softly, his gaze on the holographic display of the Council's territories. When the galaxy finally realizes what has happened, it will be too late to stop us. We have prepared. We have revealed the truth. And the truth cannot be undone, Admiral Ray nodded. The first battle is over, and the galaxy does not even know it. Somewhere across the stars, fleets drifted, stations went dark, and the Council struggled to comprehend the scale of humanity's intelligence and preparation. The galaxy had been forced to see what it had ignored for centuries. Humanity had already won the first war through strategy, patience, and foresight, leaving the Council with only the realization that it had underestimated a species that refused to be controlled. The Galactic Council chamber was filled with a tension so thick it felt almost physical. Hundreds of alien delegates representing thousands of worlds hovered uncertainly in their seats. The domed ceiling reflected distant stars and nebulae, indifferent to the chaos unraveling beneath. The High Speaker's molten light flickered weakly, struggling to maintain authority. Something had changed irrevocably, and everyone in the hall knew it. Captain Elias Ward appeared on the holoscreen at the center of the chamber. He was calm, resolute, and unmoving, the image of human patience and control. You have called us here for judgment, he said. But it is clear now that judgment is not yours to give. The galaxy has already witnessed what humanity can do, and it understands that your control has ended. The chamber erupted in noise, but Ward's presence and calm voice silenced it. Every delegate recognized that this was no ordinary address. Humans had infiltrated communications, neutralized fleets, and mapped hyperspace lanes unknown to the Council. Their presence was felt everywhere, yet no human vessel had yet fired a shot. A crystalline diplomat, Lyra of the Valari Dominion, addressed the High Speaker. Your fleets are immobilized, your supply chains compromised, your communications unreliable. The humans have demonstrated control without attacking. They have exposed our secrets, our strategies, our history of manipulation. We are late to this war. The High Speaker flared with molten anger. Impossible. One species cannot anticipate centuries of Council operations. They cannot hold this much power, this much knowledge. They have, Lyra said softly. They have predicted every maneuver, mapped every hidden path, and neutralized every system you believed secure. They have shown the galaxy a new standard of intelligence, preparation, and patience. We cannot outmaneuver them because they already anticipated our moves. A Rellan ambassador hissed. You speak as if they are gods. They cannot dominate an entire Council fleet. They have not yet struck directly, Lyra replied. But they control the battlefield already. Their strategy makes our fleets ineffective without them even needing to fight. That is what you face now. The humans are inevitable. From Earth's command hub, Admiral Harlan Ray monitored the Council's reactions. Phase 4 begins now, he said, leaning over a holographic display of Council systems. They are beginning to understand the scale of our reach. This is the moment we reveal that readiness alone can redefine power. Captain Ward's eyes scanned the feeds. Let them panic. The first realization is always the hardest. We will act decisively, but only when the timing is perfect. Control is in our hands, whether they admit it or not. In the council chamber, the High Speaker's light dimmed to a fragile glow. We cannot allow this species to dictate the galaxy, he said. Mobilize all fleets. Activate every weapon system. Strike before they consolidate their power. Delegates scrambled to give orders, but Ward's voice interrupted through the council's comm channels. Any attack you attempt will fail. Your fleets are compromised. Your bases mapped, your communications neutralized. You are not responding to us. You are responding to the strategy we set decades ago. You are already too late. The chamber fell silent. Confusion and fear replaced anger. Every species present realized that the humans had prepared for every scenario, and the council's authority was no longer absolute. Far from the chamber, human drones activated across the outer sectors. Supply lines were rerouted, intelligence nodes folded into hidden dimensions, and reconnaissance fleets appeared in previously unreachable systems. Council commanders attempted to reorganize, but every movement was anticipated and countered. Ships drifted powerless as humans silently demonstrated control without violence. Lieutenant Mara Kellen, monitoring one of the operations, reported, "The fleets are immobilized. Communications are down. Every station we observed has been neutralized without engagement. They cannot regain control." Admiral Ray smiled faintly. This is the moment the galaxy learns the full extent of human strategy. They will see that preparation, intelligence, and patience surpass raw power. Back in the council chamber, the Valari diplomat Lyra continued, her voice calm yet trembling with awe. They are not attacking. They are teaching. They are showing that the council's strength has always relied on fear, secrecy, and manipulation. Humanity has revealed the weakness behind your authority, and we cannot hide it anymore. The High Speaker's molten light flickered weakly. If they have this control, then what is left to resist? What can we do? They wait, Lyra said. They will act only when necessary. Humanity has given us time to comprehend, to adapt. But the galaxy has already changed. They are inevitable, patient, and precise. They have set the terms of engagement. In orbit around a council stronghold, human reconnaissance drones folded silently through hyperspace. Entire systems once thought secure were now under observation. Fleets remained immobilized, unable to respond, and key infrastructures were quietly neutralized. Humanity had turned invisibility into a weapon and patience into power. Lieutenant Relo of the Cathari fleet, stranded in space, stared at his console. We cannot move. We cannot communicate. How is this possible? A calm human voice echoed over their scrambled channels. You are witnessing the consequence of underestimating humanity. Stand down or remain paralyzed. We have prepared for every action you imagine. Back in Earth's command hub, Ward and Ray watched the council's reaction. Phase 5 begins, Ward said. We do not need to strike yet. We only need to make our presence undeniable, so the galaxy accepts the new reality. Admiral Ray nodded. The council will soon realize that they no longer hold the first move. Humanity does. And when we choose to act, it will be decisive. The High Speaker attempted to regain authority, calling fleets to action, but systems failed one by one. Ships drifted helplessly. Orders never executed. The galaxy's oldest governing body was paralyzed by strategy, intelligence, and foresight. Lyra observed the chamber and recorded the moment in her logs. The humans are not attacking with force. They are demonstrating dominance through preparation. The council is late, powerless, and unprepared. Humanity has already declared the war, not with weapons, but with intellect, strategy, and inevitability. Across the stars, human fleets moved silently through hidden hyperlanes. Supply bases folded into separate dimensions. Drones mapped and cataloged every sector. Every step was calculated, precise, and unseen. The council could only watch in terror and awe. Ward turned to Ray. We have shown them that control is no longer theirs. The galaxy must now accept our presence, not as supplicants, but as equals. When we act, we do so decisively. Until then, we hold the advantage through awareness, preparation, and timing. Ray nodded. They will understand eventually. But by then, it will be too late to regain control. In the council chamber, delegates finally realized the truth. Humans had prepared for centuries. Every council plan, every fleet maneuver, every hidden stronghold had been anticipated. Humanity's patience had turned every attempt at retaliation into futility. The galaxy had been forced to see that the council's power was an illusion, and the species it had dismissed as weak now held the strategic upper hand. The high speaker's molten light dimmed completely. "We underestimated them," he whispered. "We waited too long. They have already won without firing a shot." Lyra's crystalline form reflected the reality of the moment. "The galaxy will remember this day," she said quietly. "A species once overlooked has changed the rules. Humanity has declared its presence, its capability, and its inevitability. We are too late to stop it." Outside the chamber, human fleets continued their quiet, calculated deployment. Systems once thought secure disappeared from council grids. Supply chains, fleets, and bases were under human observation. Humanity had not needed to fight yet, but it had already won the first war of strategy. Ward spoke softly to the command hub. "The galaxy will understand soon enough. We do not need to strike. We have shown the truth. We have prepared, and the truth cannot be undone." Ray nodded. "The first battle is over, and the galaxy does not even know it yet." Across the council's territories, fleets drifted powerless. Systems went dark. Communications failed. The high speaker could no longer maintain authority. Humanity had forced the galaxy to recognize its position without destruction, and when the moment came to act, the humans would be unstoppable. The stars shone on silently, indifferent to the shift of power below. But humanity had already declared war, and the galaxy would never forget the day it realized too late that Earth was prepared, patient, and inevitable. Captain Ward looked at the holographic display of council space and whispered, "They watched us rise, but they never saw us coming."